I'm Michael Mighty Mike Doster. I was born in Omaha, Nebraska and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. I played bass with BB King from 1985 until 2002. I got the gig on account of attending an HBCU, which was Tennessee State University, where I met BB King's nephew, Walter King, and it's a blast to be at Mississippi Valley State, another HBCU, because that's kind of what prepared me for life on the road with BB King. HBCUs are very important. They need them. I was 9 years old. I started in the school orchestra, elementary school orchestra, playing double bass. And when I got into junior high school, I started playing electric bass and rock bands. And then I realized, okay, the rock bands were playing blues. I was fortunate to have a teacher that taught music, that taught me the history of the music and the history of blues and jazz and the influence on popular music. And so I'm very grateful for that experience. BB King influenced me just because I just loved his records, and I loved his playing, and my father loved his singing, and I was really impressed with his guitar playing. It's hard for me to really narrow down one particular artist or musician that's inspired me all at one time. They've been influences. I would go through listening to different styles of music while I was growing up. Sometimes I was into rock, sometimes I'd listen to nothing but jazz. When I told him I was going to go to Tennessee State, he said, well, if that's what you're going to do, do your best at it. If you're going to dedicate yourself to it. And he was very supportive of it. My first paid gig was in church. I got paid $15 to sit in with a choir at a Baptist church in Nashville. And I think my first outpaid gig in a club was at a nightclub called the Bamboo Lounge in Nashville. It was an after-hours club that was near Tennessee State, and it was a Chittlin Circuit club. And I was always accepted. You would run into people that for whatever reason they would not like you, and I would say they'd have a good reason to be resentful. But generally, I found them. That's what blows my mind, looking at the history of segregation and racial oppression, that they were still open and accepting and wanted to teach you about the music and the culture, and I felt like it was given as a gift. And there's a lot of people talking about cultural appropriation, and I think to take something like the blues or something and claim it and not acknowledge the culture it came from or the strife of the people that are experiencing it, is wrong. I think it's good when you assimilate the culture, be part of it, be part of the community, and learn, from the people and interact, and be supportive, then it's a gift given to you. Was it Ray Charles said, if you don't know, I can't tell you? But I don't know. I think there was a woman earlier that said it's making the most out of a bad situation, being creative, when all odds are against you, is what it is to me, and it's living life on life's terms and not letting it get you down, and trying to learn from your mistakes, and let people teach you and teach others, pay it forward. I would have never started drinking or using drugs, and I work at Tennessee State University now, and I deal with a lot of young people, and I see them making the same mistakes I did, and I try, and I guess they just have to learn for themselves. I try to tell them, I've been through that, that you could be using your time more wisely, and I wish I'd been a little bit more patient. The most fun, there's so many just little things that would happen during the day that you think back on that just make you laugh. We would just go to great places. Some of the traveling was really hard. We would, have, 1,000-mile ride and have to go right there and play, and then leave right after the gig to go somewhere else. And then you pass through the town you're going to play at the next day, and then you have to come back to it. But one place I used to love going was the south of France. Every summer we would do the Grand Parade du Jazz in Nice, and they would give you, a few days off there, and they would have like these great jam sessions. You'd see all these famous musicians just jamming in the hotel, and you have to get a routine going, and you have to carry some of the comforts from home with you, but you can't be too bogged down with too many items, because you can only put so much in a suitcase. So you try to learn a system, know what you need, what you can get by with, and then you have to take care of yourself. You might, want to hang out or something, or party, and if you got a chance to rest, you really need, to get some rest and eat right. Because I left BB King in 2002, and it was at the end of a European tour, and we were working just every night, and I came down with something, and I just didn't get to see a doctor, and finally my whole body shut down, and I could barely lift my arms, and I had to come off at the road at that time because from working so hard and not seeing a doctor. I love music, and I'm really grateful that I can play, because I quit playing for a whole year because while I was recovering, I didn't really have the strength to pick up my bass, and now I realize that that why I started playing in the first place. Just when you get with guys like we did today, where it just comes automatically, it's like a blessing. It seems like some kind of higher power from above is playing through you or something, and you got everybody that knows the concepts and how to communicate with each other musically. That makes it a lot easier, and just when everybody knows the ins and outs. Study everything you can. Read. Be friendly with people, and make contacts. And if you're a music major in a university, you might I just really want to play, but the young students need to take their other classes seriously. Learn other languages, learn about business and law and math and the things you need to do to survive out there, because that's how a lot of people have been exploited, is not having education. And BB King always said education is one thing that they can never take away from you. You know, learn as much as you can, and be nice to the people you meet along the way, and be of service. I'd like to say how grateful I am for having been able to attend an HBCU, and then from that learn some skills that enabled me to play with BB King for 17 years, and then to be able to come back to an HBCU and talk about it. They provide a service to humanity that you can't find anywhere else, and I'm just grateful to be here.